Oh, we always talk about Cup Magic here. There's something truly special, and maybe it's just particularly special for me about the Cups because all of the sports leagues that I grew up with, there's one league up here, and then maybe there's college, or maybe there's another league that tries to start up, but it'll usually fail. Right? There's really just one league, and you never get to see teams with less resources competing against teams with more resources. The only time that really happens in American sports is March Madness, the college basketball tournament that pits small-time colleges against some of the biggest colleges in the country, and sometimes the small-time colleges win. Right? I actually never really thought about how much March Madness is kind of America's FA Cup in a lot of ways, in the way that it appeals to that sense of everybody's got a chance sort of thing. But the reason cups around the world are so appealing to me is because for most of American sports, there's nothing like that. There is no, this small community or this semi-pro team is going up against the Baltimore Ravens. That doesn't happen. Except what I didn't know when I was growing up is that the U.S. does have a cup. Quite an old cup. It's been around for over 100 years. The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. It is actually the FA Cup of the United States. It's the Football Federation's, cup competition. It's an open cup competition. Any football clubs in the United States that want to enter it and compete to be the best football club, the best soccer team, I should say, because we're talking about the U.S., right? The best soccer team in the U.S., then you enter the cup and you try to win. Now, there's been, very sadly, we're gonna get to a great story, but there's been very sadly a withdrawal of MLS from this competition. I believe MLS is now only sending a couple of teams to the U.S. Open Cup, which I think is one of the many examples of MLS not being the best stewards of the game, trying to grow the game overall and trying just to grow their MLS universe. I believe the official public concern with letting MLS teams play in the U.S. Open Cup was fixture congestion, which, of course, MLS created by creating a competition like the Leagues Cup where the U.S. and Mexican teams compete against each other in a random cup in the middle of the season. Right? The U.S. created fixture congestion and then froze the U.S. Open Cup out. And they also, in the non-public sense, they didn't want to provide any oxygen to any league that's not MLS. This is MLS 101. This is exactly what MLS always tries to do, which is suffocate any other league that exists. It operates like a corporation trying to establish a monopoly, and it has, in large part, been very successful at that. And this year is the first U.S. Open Cup where there aren't all of the MLS teams, right? There are maybe a few. I can't remember exactly what the deal was, but mostly it's reserve teams from MLS that enter into the tournament instead. Now, what you might not know, but we've definitely talked about on this channel, so if you're an avid ism enjoyer, then you do know, there are other leagues in the United States. The USL Championship and USL League One are two other professional leagues that are classified as the second and third tier in the United States. And then there's the NPSL, which is a large, kind of loose fourth division that is semi-professional or amateur teams around the country playing in regional conferences. I've never really followed it too hard, but I do know of its existence and kind of how, the fact that it works a little bit. And those are the teams basically that are going to be competing in the U.S. Open Cup going forward. It'd be like the U.S. Open Cup just removing the Premier League and everybody else goes in and tries to win it. That's basically what's happening in the United States now. And there's one team that for the second consecutive year actually has become the massive underdog hero story. And the team is known as El Farolito SC. El Farolito's been around since 1985 in some way or another, which means this club is actually older than all of MLS. And this is another great example of this kind of weird grassroots soccer community in the United States that's existed and kept the U.S. Open Cup alive through the dark years between 1950 and 1990, when the U.S. basically did not care and did not play football, soccer at all. Right? Well, we played football, our football, right? And eventually 1990 comes around, U.S. makes it back to the World Cup with a bunch of college players, and the game re-explodes in a way that it kind of did in the 20s and the 30s up to 1950 in the US. Well, El Farolito, founded in 1985, the artist formerly known as Club Deportivo Mexico, which is like Mexican sporting club, basically. They changed their name to El Farolito. They were founded essentially by a restaurant. Not just that, basically a burrito truck. This club was founded based off of a cash-only Mexican restaurant in San Francisco that is like, it was, at least I think one of the articles, I think it's the Sports Illustrated article, says was the hub of in the city's Mission District, once the epicenter of the Latino community. So it's basically named after a popular local burrito chain, an El Farolito bar, which started as a Mexican taqueria shop and bar in 1983. They just founded a club. I mean, it was the hub of the Latino community, and they went, in 1985, we're going to create a club. And after a while, Club Deportivo Mexico becomes El Farolito. It's, this is like having a team walking around called Burger King, right? This is Team Taco Bell, except it's just a local burrito chain, burrito shop that's running a club. And you know the most amazing thing? Obviously, the reason we're making a video about them is they're doing well in the US Open Cup. They're actually pretty good. All right, they've done well. If we look at the regular season, right, they are finishing first in the Golden Gate Conference. In the playoffs in 2024, they won the NPSL championship. The burrito team, which means this burrito truck team, if there was promotion and relegation, would be moving up. Okay, like this is a team in the 4th Division of the United States that are the reigning champion of the 4th Division of the United States. And you will see that they did reach the 3rd round last year. And in that run to the 3rd round of the U.S. Open Cup, they beat the reserve team of the Portland Timbers, which is very much an MLS team, a well-put-together MLS team. And they went out and beat their reserve team, and they beat somebody else as well. They beat Central Valley Fuego, who is a professional team from USL League One, so the 3rd tier of the United States, going into the 3rd round and losing to the Oakland Roots, who are a team in the USL Championship, which, remember, as it's structured now, the 2nd Division of the U.S. is kind of the best sort of teams that you're going to be playing against. Well, this time, El Farolito has gone even further because they were matched up against Monterey Bay FC, who is a team in the top flight of USL, in the USL Championship. And El Farolito, at 1-1 in the 83rd minute, just put together this absolute piece of diabolical work here.
Centering Benson there, off the crossbar, still loose, and saved off the line. Cray saved again. Cray scores!
What is that, bro? I really hope that makes it through DMCA. If not, I'll let it run kind of while I'm talking. I mean, this is like a quadruple save. This is unbelievable defense here. This is unbelievable defense. I have no idea how this ball's not going in. What a goal line save. What a block. And eventually, I don't know if both those were DMCA'd. I hope they weren't, so you were able to see it. If not, I'm sure you can find it if you look up El Farolito over Monterey Bay. An absolutely chaotic, wonderful goal. They're doing it again. The taco truck team just beat a fully professional side from the 2nd Division, Monterey Bay. And look, I know what you're thinking. The United States 2nd Division isn't that good, that it doesn't really. The United States 2nd Division has sold players to European clubs for over $1 million. These are actual players whose full-time job is kicking a ball. And a lot of notable teams and players have ended up there over the years, and a fair number of talented American players have been developed by USL clubs. USL League One, who really knows what that level's at? But USL Championship, when MLS clubs were still in the US Open Cup, would have clubs that made runs to the semifinal multiple times over the last couple of years. Would a USL Championship club make the quarters or the semifinals? I believe Sacramento even made the final of US Open Cup when all MLS teams were playing in it. So these teams can play. But apparently they can't play at all compared to a freaking taco truck. Now, look, I love all of the upset runs, whether we get a team from Reunion that makes a big run in the Coupe de France, whether we're looking at Arminia Bielefeld in the 3rd division of Germany getting all the way to the final. But you will never get a quote like this from from anywhere outside the U.S. when it comes to a team making a cup run and beating, a 2nd division team or something. This is the coach. You try to get your best team out there, if it's for soccer or if it's a person that's going to be working as a cashier or grill at the taqueria. Santiago Lopez told U.S. Soccer as the current El Farolito head coach, restaurant manager, and son of late founder Salvador Don Chava Lopez. The dude is the coach and the manager of the restaurant. And he just compared picking his team and getting the best guys out there to picking the best lineup for his restaurant. How cool is that? Don Chava never thought about the results. He just did what he thought would be fun and never really wanted any attention. Well, you make the 3rd round of the U.S. Open Cup 2 years in a row with a team that has to qualify to even get there, and then a team that's representing a taco restaurant in San Francisco. I'm going to talk about you. I'm going to give you attention, and you know what? Maybe you deserve it, because way back before MLS in 1993, you know who won the U.S. Open Cup? Club Mexico Deportivo, the original name of El Farolito. They have it in their blood. This is what they do. And I'm sure the Don, even though he is since passed on, is smiling down on his son, taking the club back to heights that they reached way back in the day. Just an awesome story.